Is this thing live? I believe we are live. What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. So we are live motor chat, talking all things motorized. Be mixing in a little bit of motorcycle chit chat as well. Going to give you guys some updates as far as bikes that I will be testing, hopefully here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I have a bit of a wish list, and so I will fill you in on those bikes, and then I guess we can talk Mopar stuff too. I have, I believe, figured out what it was about the Charger visually from a design standpoint that was making me cringe so hard. I actually had to go back and study that car a little bit because it was driving me nuts. What was it about that car that was bothering me so much? I mean, it wasn't even the size of the thing. There was something off. And so I looked at it and I studied it and I kept looking at it and I kept staring at it and I figured it out. It is the wheel space height. Okay, Ryan, you're exactly right. So here's the problem, and Ryan and I are seeing the same thing. The car's too damn big for the wheel well size and for the wheel size. I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you by doing exactly how I would describe that car. Okay, I'm going to draw a car the way that a little kid would draw a car. Okay, so we've got the front of the car, the roof line, it goes back. And then remember when you're a little kid and you do the wheel wells, right? And then you would put the wheels in there, right? Just like a little kid. Does that look familiar? Does that shit look familiar? This is how a 3-year-old would draw a car. Little wheel wells with little wheels on a big body. There's no concept of size. You know intuitively that this is the front of that car, right? But this is what that car looks like. It looks like a kid drew a car and they said, okay, that'll work. So that's what it looks like. It's got the little wheels right up here. This arch needs to be about 30% larger. And instead of 20-inch wheels, it needs to have 22s at least on that car. But that's what the problem is. You've got this big car, and tell me that shit doesn't look just like that car too. It's got the weird, like the proportion from the wheel well to the roof and all that. It's the same thing. So I was looking at that car, I was staring at it, and see, Martin, I told you, you cannot unsee it now. You will look at that car forever and you will only see this drawing right here. I'm telling you, that is what it looks like. It's got the oddly short hood, the weird bubble, the greenhouse, and then the weird proportion from the rear to the top. But this is what your eyes are when you look at it, it's like that weird uncanny valley. That's what's going on with it. The tires and the wheels, the car is so big. The thing is so gargantuan that 20-inch wheels don't look good on it. The wheel well looks small in proportion to the size of the car, and the wheels themselves are small. That's what's going on. So anyway, I was able to get to the bottom of that, and it was driving me absolutely just nuts as to why I could not place, I guess, where the weird was coming from. And then I thought, and I kept calling it a sophomoric design exercise. I was like, something's not right. It's like they let somebody that didn't. And then I looked at it and went, there it is. And so anyway, I figured I would share it with you guys because it's funny. Yeah, it blows my mind how badly that car is designed and how poorly it put together. But knowing now, you won't be able to unsee it. If you're watching this and you go back and look at that video, it's like, or look at that car after watching this video, it's bad. So anyway, let me check in with you guys real quick and we can start talking about what's up and coming and some of the issues and some of the challenges that are coming up with manufacturers with the inability to tune. So Ryan is in. Yes, Sam is in. What's up, man? X is in. What is going on, my man? Hard Rock checking in. X is in. Sam saying, I miss the days of 16s and high and the high profile tires. High aspect ratio. Sovereign is in. What is up, man? Martin. Yeah, there you go. Sovereign. Got the ball guy with the shades. It's chilly and rainy tonight. Yeah. By the way, I just posted up a couple of decibel tests on motorcycles tonight too. One on a Bonneville T120 and the other on a GSXR 1000 with an M4 slip on. That M4 is dope. And the British Customs on that, dude. So what y'all didn't see and what I was kind of trying to capture, but I didn't want to make a thing of it. The Bonneville, if you pipe it up and chop throttle, it'll blow flames sometimes. And when I revved it up off camera, there's this fireball that comes out of that exhaust. So anyway, I was trying to get that for you. It didn't do it. It's a mushroom without a stem. It is. Ryan saying, finally, other people see it. Yes. Yeah. Big body, little tiny head. It's weird looking. I know it, right? Southern Indiana saying, what up, guys? What's up, Southern? Hard Rock Popeye. Yes. Fun fact, my strength and conditioning coach in college when I played football, that was my nickname, was Popeye. I don't know why. The guy couldn't remember anybody's name, so he gave everybody nicknames. John Lott, if you're familiar with Combine, he's the guy that used to run Combine. Ryan saying that damn Bonneville was downright sexy. Yes, it is. You need to, the Hop, they're a great bike, man. That Bonneville is so good. Hard Rock, did you get my email? Yes, I did. I am going to try to get the bobber. If I can't get the bobber, I will be testing one of the Chiefs from Indian, but we'll see. I've got to make sure that it's still there though. And I'm going to try, we're going to have rain all next week. So I won't be able to do any testing next week until maybe, well, it'll be after next week. I'm going to try to be on a bike on Saturday, if at all possible, but it'll be my Gixxer Thou, and I've got to get some seat time on that bike. Let's see. Oh, Sam talking about the large rim. Yeah, I mean, for a truck or something like that, it might be bad, but I mean, it's not really even low profile when you've got at least, you know, on a rim that big, you'd still have 4 or 6 inches of sidewall. And Sovereign, I have not seen the project car photos yet. I don't think. Ryan saying it's too darn cold here in Missouri to ride and too much salt still on the road. I believe that. Yeah. I was able to sneak the GSXR 1000 out for a little bit. You know, we had a lot of ice and snow lately. Where I am currently sitting, we got about just shy of 6 inches is what it was showing, but I wouldn't doubt it if it was more than that, because it was pretty deep. Anyway, they were putting the solution on the bridge and all that. Anyway, I was able to get the Gixxer Thou out to get a little bit of an idea for what that M4 can was going to sound like. And on the bridge, it's kind of funny. So there's where I live on the coast, it's like nothing but bridges over here. And there was one of the bridges I was going over, and the concrete's still very cold. Even though the temperature was above freezing, the concrete is still ice cold. And there was still snow and ice packed on it. And I hit a couple of spots on the bike, and the bike just kind of, that's one of these things I'm going, do not understand. Anyway, so yeah, but it obviously no big deal. It wasn't a big patch or anything like that, but yeah, the M4 can sounds amazing. A lot quieter and deeper than that Yoshimura can. So that's what I'm going to be going with, and we are hoping to maybe tune that bike if it works out this Saturday. So we're going to be tuning it. Stock air filters, stock exhaust, stock catalytic converters, M4 slip-on, and that's it. One exhaust modification that I'm not really letting the cat out of the bag just yet that I did to that bike because there's only 2 manufacturers of slip-ons that you can actually cheat a little bit, and that's what I'm going to be doing. Oh, Hard Rock saying, I don't have a motorcycle license. Would love to go to Stubbs Motorcycle School. Check it out. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is that a lot of Harley Davidson dealerships take part in the MSF training, and it's a great opportunity to get familiar with a bike again. I mean, I recommend it even for guys that are seasoned and may need a tune-up, like, you know, just a refresher course. One of my dad's, and something that I will be doing is I'm going to be taking my certification probably this summer to be an MSF instructor. Something that my dad always wanted to do, and something that we were actually going to do together to do basic instruction and advanced instruction. And the main thing, I wanted to do it just so I get free track time. But the idea is that if you're getting back into motorcycling, or let's say you had a bike way back in the day, like when you were a kid, you had a dirt bike or something like that, and you're getting into street bikes later on, or again, like I was talking about, you had a street bike when you were a kid, life happens, and now you're getting back into it. A lot of times you don't even know what you want. Like when it comes to motorcycles, what was comfortable before isn't. So you might have been big into cruisers before, but you know, now you'd rather just have a standard, or you might have been into sport bikes before, and now you want a cruiser or whatever, you know, rock, paper, scissors, right? But it's a good opportunity to get back on a bike in a controlled environment where you can't get hurt, and get out there and have some one-on-one instruction. Man, I got something on my glasses and it's right in the middle. I think it's a scratch. Of course, it's like right where my eyeball is. But yeah, always a good idea, especially on the advanced side. Oh, sorry, the 72 Elko and a 67 Camaro in the photos. Boss was, I did see that one. Yeah, oh man, I love Elkos, dude, especially 72. That's the one of my favorites. Elko and the Chevelle have very similar. Yes. In fact, all an El Camino is, it's a Chevelle station wagon with the station wagon part cut out. Fun fact, if you look in the bed of that El Camino, you'll still see the trap door for the hideaway seat. They just use it as storage in the Elko. Gonna resto mod. Nice. Southern Indiana say, I got to keep it naturally aspirated to stay in the racing class at the track. What did I miss? Oh, I got to put a long block in my 1320. This showing after it let go. Oh, what are your thoughts on a high compression 392 Forged internals, 12.4-to-1 compression, high ram, Echo, Ocho Cinco, 4K stall, and a cam? Okay, so good questions. Let's talk about it. So if you're going to go high compression 392, you may as well kick it up a notch and at least go like a 411 or a 420. 12.4 is okay, but it's not going to take full advantage of E85. But it is the base number. Y'all know 12.5-to-1 is like my base number for E85. So you're still good there. High ram and a 4K stall and a cam. Yeah, but you're going to need Stanke tie bars and collars. And just to keep the shaft stable at the higher RPM. And to be honest, the reason why I'm saying go up in displacement is so you can kind of cheat your RPM down a little bit, because once you start, if you really want to start playing in that field, in the NA field, you're going to have to turn RPM. And I don't like to see, and your push rods need to be like 120 push rods, which are going to be, that's the wall thickness, the 0.120 as opposed to the 0.080, which is a normal street build. They'll hold up to about 7,200 RPM. You're going to want to turn this thing. I would like to see it about 7,500 RPM if you're going to be really going to take this thing seriously. And at that stage of the game, I really wouldn't want to turn that rotating assembly much faster than that. But yeah, forged internals. But the reason why I'm saying you might as well just get a stroker motor. See if you can, those same parts with a 420 cubic inch stroker is going to just make more torque and help it get out of the hole a little bit better, especially if you're going to be still running the 309 rear gear. So you can, if you want, get real frisky, put the 392 rear gear in this thing and stick with the 392, spin it to about 7,500 RPM. But you're going to need a lot of duration and just know that it is a race car at that point. Like, again, it depends on how frisky you want to get. And the other thing is 12.4 to 1 is good. But if you're really looking to run in a class, remember that these boys, I hate to break it to you, but the guys that are real competitive in NA class are like 14 to 1 minimum. And they are on E90 and they are turning real hard RPM too out of these things. So if you get into the racing game, just know that there's always somebody that's going to go way more displacement. A lot of those are 440s, by the way, that are in those cars. So 440 cubic inches, lots of cam, and lots of compression ratio. 14 is like the walking around number. I know other guys that have gone 15. And they're running, I mean, it gets crazy. Okay. Like I'm just saying. So you've got a good combination. Look, it's almost a mismatch though with the high ram. It is, but it's not. Like if you're going to turn the hell out of it and run a 392 gear, it wouldn't be. But if you're going to do that, I'd still suggest higher compression though. And then you get into fuel quality issues too. Things like you go to put E85 in it at the pump and you're really getting E65. And that's not a big deal if you've got 12.5 to 1. But if you see where I'm going with this? Like you're off to a good start and I see you working, but I just need to let you know where other people are at with that build and what they're going to potentially, what that potentially can look like. Because those boys are running like low 9s, high 8s in some cases, depending on the setup that they're running. Goldfish saying Steve Jobs. I know. So this is the undershirt that I wear whenever I go riding. If it's cold. So wouldn't mind his money, but would not want to have his affliction. But honestly, man, if it depends on how competitive you want to be in that class. If you just want to go out and have fun, I get that the block let go. It just depends on how nasty and how competitive you want to be. Plus, if you start going that competitively with the car, obviously you're going to be doing a ton of race prep, meaning you're removing a lot of stuff out of that car. Let's see. Oh, Sam's liking the 1500 with the 18s. Oh, yeah, the 18s ride way better than the 22s. Summer saying Boss has a 68 Trans Am project in the works too. Nice. Those are really nice. Hard Rock saying, after sitting on some bikes, the bobbers feel great. I only have dirt experience on motocross bikes, so super bikes probably not a good fit right now. There, you know what? I'll tell you something. And this is part of a video that I've been trying to put together. And for whatever reason, it just never can come out. And by the way, if you're new to the live show, thanks for stopping by. This channel and this show in particular is really not much more than a background noise generator. A lot of guys will listen to this. It's background noise. It's car and motorcycle, sometimes airplane stuff related, mostly engine talk. So, that's what the show is. So it's an interactive, an opportunity. What the hell is an opportunity? Maybe it's an opportunity for me to get my vocabulary sorted out. It's an opportunity for me to be able to work with you guys on, one-on-one, kind of interact. It makes it fun for me. Hopefully it makes it fun for you too. Anyway, renew the show. That's the premise of my show. Yeah. So hard argument. The thing is that nothing. The only thing that's weird and the only thing that'll change when you start getting on the street is just you've just got to just ride the motorcycle. Nothing is really any different. It's just the fact that things happen at a faster rate. You've got motorists that are everywhere. You got to do everybody's thinking for them. So let's see. Sam's asking, have I had a chance to ride a late 90s, early 2000s Z1000? No, I have not. Have never ridden one of those. Would love to get a leg over on one, though. Oh, Ryan, also the 6.1 video was great to watch. Always wanted an SRT 6.1 and stroked to 6.4 liter in moderate cam and long tubes and ported throttle body and the stock manifold. Would be a perfect street build. Here's the thing with my deal with 6.1. If I were to build a 6.1, it would not be very much, there wouldn't be very much to it. It would get one of my small cams. In fact, it would get the cam that I mentioned in that video, about 222, 232, actually be 222, 230, intake center line. I don't care. 109, 110. And, you know, a 113 or 114 degree LSA with 570 lift. I mean, there wouldn't be a whole lot to it. That 570 lift would truncate the head flow down to like 300 CFM, and which would be fine. The intake manifold, I wouldn't even touch it. The throttle body, I'd probably get a fast man for it and call it good, if that. And then long tube headers, a cat back, and just drive the thing. That would be the perfect 6.1 for me. It would put down about, on a Mustang dyno, it put down about 390, about 390 horsepower to the rear wheels, but would have a ton of mid-range. It would just be a really fun car. But the kicker is that I would try to find a 6-speed car. There's one here in town, and it's not for sale. Black with silver stripes. That's the car that got me back into it. This guy in Dallas had one brand new back then, lowered, I think it might not even been lowered, CCW wheels. And it was such a pretty car, and it sounded so freaking good. And, you know, at some point, guys, look, at some point, it can't be about speed, because just like what I was illustrating before for 1320, no matter what, there's somebody that's going to spend way more money than you. This game is not about cubic inches or boost or anything. It's about cubic dollars. And there's always going to be somebody that is going to shower a project with cash. And there's nothing you can do to fight that. And my thing lately, especially lately, has been, man, I'm just out here having fun. I am having more fun with my F-150 than I had with my Hellcat in certain circumstances. And there's some frustration points that come with what I'm working with that truck, but man, they're minor by comparison. And I'm having so much fun kind of living vicariously through other folks with their projects. Because I'm not competitive anymore. I'm not competing anymore. And so I don't have to worry about what the next guy is up to. I can just, yeah, and I can tell you how it is too. I have no problem telling you what kind of competition you're up against. And guys, it's shady out there when it comes to competition. Here's something else to consider. You know what I was talking about, that NA class car? It's like the FAST class, the factory appearing stock tire class. Those cars are 1,000 horsepower cars, and they look like just a running around car. You can't drive those things on the street. Like, you know that, right? But one of the keep it on the down low parts of that conversation is, if you're competitive, you're breaking things all the time. There's no such thing as a race car that stays together. If your race car is staying together, it's not because it's built right. It's because it's not being pushed as hard as it should. You don't have enough cam. You don't have enough intake manifold. You don't have enough RPM. And so the guys that you'll see that are setting records and the guys that you'll see that are winning races behind the scenes, they're replacing at least an engine per season, or it's got at least a full rebuild per season. Facts. It's the way it is. Anybody that is competitive will tell you that they will feel lucky if they get 3 seasons out of an engine. Like, there's no way you get 3 seasons. If you get 3 seasons out of an engine, it means you only hit 4 races per year. Like, that's how this can go. So, you know, I don't know if, you know, I don't know if that reality is something that you want to be a part of. I recently had this conversation with somebody, and the somebody was, you know, saying, hey, what does it really take to go from where I'm at to where I want to be? And knowing where this guy was and the kind of power that his car was made, so it's a supercharged and nitrous assisted Hellcat. And this car on a Mustang dyno, or no, I'm sorry, on an eddy current dyno jet, put down like 4 shy of 1,600 horsepower. Okay. This is the kind of game that we're in. Just shy of 1,600 horsepower, and he's probably 500 or 600 horsepower away from being competitive. That's what it is. And the problem with that is that you're 500 or 600 horsepower away from being competitive, and you are a complete teardown and rebuild every year away from financing this thing. At 1,600, you can run it and kind of have a good time with it. It'll be fast. It'll be fun. Dial it down to about 1,300 and it'll be just right. But that's the reality of racing, guys. I mean, and nobody wants to talk about how often they're replacing engines, right? It's like, oh, we don't ever have any problems with our engines. They're perfectly fine. They're bomb proof. They're not at all. But yeah, that's the kind of world that that's the kind of world that I'm glad that I'm not a part of anymore. I'm so much happier playing in the shallow end. You guys have heard me say that, but I haven't really ever dove into the whys behind it. Like that car right there. I'm glad I'm not doing that stuff anymore. A lot of guys, when I do miss it, it's like, I miss it. I'm glad I did it because it makes for a great story, but it's a very expensive story to tell. Oh, let me check back in with y'all. Hold up. Hard Rock's a 5-year sub. Yes, nice. Ryan said B needs to get his hands on a Chrysler tank engine. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on one of the Ford, the dual overhead cam Ford 800 cubic inch tank engines. Goldfish is asking, which insurance company do I use? State Farm insures my motorcycles. I have been with State Farm for super, super long though. So, but yeah, State Farm, and they've always been really easy to do business with. Let's see. Oh, Hard Rock saying, started my 5.7 Challenger and graduated my 21 Chally Scat a few years ago. B helped me with my skills and won a lot of races here. Thank you, B. You're very welcome. Thank you. All right, so modding can be the worst rabbit hole you can ever fall down. Sovereign asking, B, did I hear about the huge Demon recall? I heard about it. The thing is that I mean, we've talked about this kind of thing. I know that there was a TSB for spark plugs there for a hot minute, but we'll see. I've got my own thoughts on the Demon 170, and those thoughts are they are not without they're kind of heated. So I'm saying Viper. Yep. Ryan saying, I bet, but I think that's our problem as enthusiasts. We always go deep down the rabbit hole. You do. Modern Red Hemi is a lot of rabbit hole for sure. Sovereign saying, bring back the Viper. Yeah, listen, I tell you what, Sovereign saying, bring back the Viper. Could you imagine a smaller version of that car right there? Where is it? Right there. With the high output Hurricane 6 making about 650 horsepower. Tell me that wouldn't be sick to death. And it's a freaking, look, if you can make a V10, you can make a 6-cylinder marketable. And I mean that with all sincerity, because that V10, let's be honest, it sounds like ass. And if the whole thing is about how a car sounds, you ain't buying a Viper for that. Trust me. But I will say this, it would be sick to death with that 6-cylinder in it. Lightweight, tons of power. Why not just do it? It's like you got the bread and you got the meat. I can't make the sandwich for you. You know what I mean? But this is the problem, man. Dodge would probably go, okay, here's your bread. We'll put the meat here. The plate's going to go on top of that. Oh, but the bread broke. Why is that? I don't know. Yeah, that's Dodge for you. I mean, you could spot them and they would still get it wrong. And that's one of the issues, man. I don't understand how this can't be hard. This can't be hard at all. This story writes itself, Dodge. Can't you? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, but it's just, they'll never get it. Look, if they're going to make cars that look like this, then what they're never going to get it when it comes to trying to make the Viper. I can just perish the thought. Either that or this is just some kind of bad dream that we're all happen to share at the same time, and we're going to wake up and everything's going to be back where it was. Let's see. Hard Rock. Yeah, 392 runs great, but more focused on reliability for sure. Well, that's the thing. It's already fast enough. There's always going to be something that is faster. There's always going to be something that is cheaper and faster. There's always going to be something that is something more than what you got. Who cares? What you have already does better than whatever is objectively better in some test does something worse than that car as far as being a drivable, fun, enjoyable machine. And that's the other thing, man. A lot of people get too wrapped up in spec sheets and objective data. Damn, that's the worst case scenario, is to get caught up in objectives, because that can screw up your perception of what makes the thing really fun and enjoyable to either ride or drive. And that's something that, to be honest with you, here in the States, we are the worst about that. You go other places on the planet and you don't see this kind of, just the toxicity of the car world is not, bikes don't have that. I mean, you can have, one guy can have 10 motorcycles in his garage and love each and every one of them. And when pressed, wouldn't want to get rid of any of them because they're all his favorite, right? Car guys will be so brand loyal that they can't see past the forest for the trees. And that's the issue I think that a lot of guys have when you either get into what's faster or what's cheaper and faster or what's better objectively. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of objectively better things, but it doesn't mean that it is subjectively better. And that's something that I've had a really hard time I used to have a really hard time trying to make folks understand and have customers understand that if you're trying to build your car to beat another car, you're already thinking about things in the wrong way. And again, I can only tell you from my own experience, I've been around this stuff for a long time and have been competitive for a real long time. To spend that much money and to be that deep into a lifestyle or a thing and just be an also-ran, to just be mediocre at what you're doing, because it's fun. It's not fun. Trust me. It quits being fun pretty quickly, especially when money starts to change hands. So bring back the Viper. I'd love to see him bring back the Viper. A good neighbor, yes. State Farm. Oh, all right. Yeah, Don could have bought a Demon for the money he's dumped into that car. Yeah, and that's why I keep telling guys, look, don't put a blower on an NA Hemi. Don't do it. Don't go past exhaust and a tune on a Hemi if it's naturally aspirated. You really don't have to. If you just want the sound and you want the extra performance that a cam will give, okay, I get it, but it's not. You're not going to get the same gains because the Hemis already have really good heads. And like the 6.1 has got a pretty decent little camshaft in it. It's a little bit wide on the lobe separation angle, but I mean, if you've got a car, you get it cheap and you got the money to burn, yeah, put a cam in it. But here's the problem. What are you going to spend on long tubes? Okay, you're going to spend $2,000 on long tubes, right? You're going to spend $1,500 on a cat back. All right, you're at $3,500. Now you got to install it. Are you going to install it? I wouldn't, not me. So now you're at, I don't know, $700 to install it. And then you've got the tuning that's going to have to come with it. That's going to be an extra $1,500. And now you're stacking money on top of money on top of money just to put what you would consider to be kind of mundane parts on the thing. You know, I don't see there being a value in that. And so for me, you know, I start to look at things and I go, well, there's not enough money, or I'm sorry, there's not enough power gain to justify the money spent. And, but guys want to, you know, if they want to spend money and they want to do something cool with their car like that, they think that's cool, then yeah, I mean, I'll absolutely tell you what it's going to cost and what you're going to get out of it. But I mean, the only way that I would get frisky with another car would be as if I found just the cleanest 6.1 Challenger with a 6-speed. And hell, even then, I don't know. See what I mean? Like you get it and you're going, I'd like it, but then I don't want to spend any money on it because it's already really good. And the problem is once you really start sinking money into one of these things, a lot of times you end up ruining them. And that's one of the things that a lot of folks don't like to hear either, is that their plan for putting, you know, this big cam and this and everything else into a car. Well, what do you have at the end of the day? You got a slow race car is what you got. And, you know, if that's the goal, then, you know, mission accomplished. But I just don't see it being all that, it's not that savory of a proposition when you can just put, you know, a good sounding cat back on it. And if you've got the ability to tune the thing yourself, that's a big deal. And for me, so the more I thought about it, that 6.1, I was like, man, you know what? Cat back, maybe even a cat delete pipe, but just put a tune on it and call it good. And the modern cars are really good about having great exhaust systems already from the factory. So, you know, do you want to spend $6,000 to pick up 30 horsepower? $6,000 is a lot of money that you could put down on a car that makes 50 more horsepower. So it's just, for the NAG1/6.1 cars, it's a nostalgia play now because realistically they are 20 years old. The 6.1 I think was out with the Magnum and the Magnum and the 300. I think had the 6.1 2 or 3 years before the Challenger was released with it. Maybe the Charger was there too. So yeah, 20 years on. Let's see. Kurt's saying, what's up? What's up, Kurt? Hello. Remember that helicopter that brought the 170? Yeah. That was a little spooky. The Viper looks good. I like the Viper. It's just the Vipers are killer cars. The only downside to them is the Viper is an awesome car, but they get trolled because modified. This is the thing. Well, you buy a Mustang and you put a this, that, or whatever, and it's faster than a Viper. Yeah, yeah. You put that kind of effort into anything, it should better be faster than a stock car. And this is the other thing. Guys will sink a ton of money into a car and have it still be slower than another stock car. There is no justification for that. Like, you can't rationalize that away. That's another reason why I would tell. I'm not the best sales guy for it. I mean, when it comes to performance stuff, I will tell you exactly what works and what will get you to the goal that you need. But I'll also tell you, look, man, if if you really want to spend money, there's other directions you can spend money. And like I say, if you modify any of these cars with any amount of, really any amount of money, say above $7,000 or $8,000, it's going to be faster than a Viper, unfortunately, stock for stock. Not saying a Viper, and that's not taking anything away from a Viper or a Vet for that matter. These things are just crazy fast as they sit. But these modern cars do take a lot of upgrades. Yeah, I mean a Hurricane i6 a Viper, dude. Look, if I could have found just a roached out Viper, I would love to put a Hurricane 6 in a Viper. I think it'd be an amazing swap. In fact, I think it would be so good they should offer that as a swap from Direct Connection. Ryan saying, be applied to Dodge for marketing lead, please. I would love to be in marketing for Dodge. I really would. They need somebody with an understanding of the culture and the history of Dodge, and they don't have that at all. None. No grasp and no understanding of how important it is to adhere to the Mopar brand loyalists' understanding of what Dodge means. They don't do that at all. In fact, it's embarrassing what Dodge has done. Let's see. Kurt saying, I have some math for you about the new Charger. Subtract the battery and 2 motors is 1,800 pounds. Okay. Am I wrong to think that the Hurricane HO and it should be decent? So let's go through that. That car is very heavy. And my understanding is that the Charger 2-door. Now you have to remember, it is significantly longer, taller, and wider than the outgoing car. So even if you take the batteries out, even if you take the electric motors out of the thing, and you say that it's 1,800, cool. So what does the thing weigh? 6,000 pounds, right? Roughly 6,000 pounds. And let's say that you remove, let's say that it's 2,000 pounds worth of crap for the electric motor and the battery and all that. So 6,000 minus 2,000 is 4,000 pounds. But we don't have a gas tank, a fuel system, an engine, a radiator, or anything like that. So 4,000 pounds plus the Hurricane 6 HO is 445 pounds. We'll just call it 450 pounds. So 450 pounds puts you at 4,450 for the car and the engine. But we don't have a trans. We're going to add, but let's say we can, let me think about this for a minute. So let's say you've got another 200 pounds worth of crap. Okay. 250. So you got 250 pounds, 4,450. That's still 4,700 pounds, right? 6,000 minus 2,000 gives you 4,000 plus 450 for the engine, makes it 4,450 plus 250 for, maybe you're transferring some of the weight in that 6,000 pounds, use some of that for the transmission, a gas tank and some fuel lines, a fuel pump and stuff like that. a radiator plus fluids, you're looking at 4,700. And that's a lot of weight, man. I mean, I think when I did the math on this, it was 1,400. It was 4,700. Yeah, I still think I still came up with 4,700 because it was shit. What was it? I can't remember now. It was like 5,500 pounds. It was the same weight as the Durango. Oddly enough, it's bigger than the Durango. 5,500 minus 1,400, 001 gave you 4,100 plus, but you had to put the motor back in it. The battery itself was 1,400. You had to put an engine back in it at 450, 055. So 4,550 was the old number that I came up with. And 4,550 is still at least 250 pounds heavier than the outgoing car. So take your pick. I mean, somewhere between 4,550 and 4,700. I mean, if I can get it within 150 pounds, I'm going to say it's going to be somewhere in that range, right? I mean, I think you'd at least agree with me. It's going to be somewhere around there. So it's not going to be light. And keep in mind, it's just a bigger car in general. So if you want, I mean, let's do some real sleight of hand on this. I like doing this kind of stuff. And weird thing is I end up being pretty close sometimes when I'm doing this. Okay. What did I say it was going to be about? Roughly a box would have to be about 15% larger, length times width times height. But part of that is going to be air. Let's say it's 12.5%. And a Challenger is 4,200 pounds. So 4,200 times, and I'll just mark it up, 1.12. 1.12, and that's 4,700 pounds, right? I mean, all the math that I'm doing is landing on that number, like around 4,700 pounds, 4,500 pounds, you know, for whatever it's worth. I mean, the more I look at it, the more I know that it's going to be heavy. It's not going to be slow though. Don't get this twisted. It's just, it's going to need the lighter weight HO engine and all the power that it makes to get out of its own way. It's going to have all-wheel drive. So this thing is going to be a hot rod on the street. And I'm okay with that. And this is the thing. If it didn't look like this, I'd be okay with that. It's from a design language, it's just got a lot of funky to it. It's not something that I would just go, oh, I like that. I'm in love with it. I'm not saying it's going to be slow. It's just not going to be the car that we asked for, you know? And you can say, well, the platform, it had to, no, I didn't ask for that either. You know, it's like if you went to a restaurant and you ordered, you know, and you ordered a cheese pizza, right? And they come out and it's got anchovies and pickles and sausage and whatever. It's got all this crap on it. And you go, well, it's got the best sausage you ever, I didn't ask for that. I wanted this, and you gave me this plus all the rest of the crap that I have to pay for? No, hell no. Take it back. That's kind of where I'm at with this car. People were asking for a smaller car. They gave them a bigger car. They wanted something with a V8. You got a 6-cylinder. They gave you a electric car that nobody asked for. But they're going to tell you how well it performs. Okay. And look, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Okay. If you find the car attractive, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. It's just that for some people's eyes, and apparently it's a lot of some people, they're picking up on this design cue that doesn't make sense. It falls into that uncanny valley. Like, you know, something's not exactly right, but you can't put your finger on it until somebody points it out, and then you can never unsee it. So, let me get back to you guys. Hard right. Yeah, Elon would actually make a really good car for them. Mm. And that's another thing. The EV is not a good EV. And this isn't one of those situations where Dodge shows up with an EV that gets 500 miles on a charge. You can charge it on 110, that has fast charge, whatever, doesn't matter. If you buy the Dodge EV, to me, it's like you're buying a 5-year-old cell phone. That's the way that I see it. The technology is nothing remarkable. There's nothing cool or innovative about this car. It's got a great looking interior, but all Dodges do. That's their calling card. That's their siren song, by the way that they look and the way that their interiors fit and their interior ergos and the way that they are just so intuitive. That is the calling card for the Mopar. That's the siren song. The part where she grows fangs and sucks your soul out is in electrical problems and the fact that they're just gargantuans. They're huge. And so, again, I'm not saying it's an ugly car. I'm not saying it's going to be a slow car. It's going to be quick, and but it's not going to be what you asked for. And it's almost like if you ask somebody not to give you a gift and then they give you a gift anyway. It's like, yeah, but I wanted you to not do that. It's like, now I feel obligated to give this thing attention that I didn't want to give anyway. Really? So, oh yeah, it's way more than numbers. Absolutely, Hard Rock. It's so much more than numbers. And I wish that more people could understand that. But in the internet world, it's all about numbers. And I'm like, dude, you're missing the point entirely. The best car on the road, the most fun car, the car that I would probably love the most is if I had what I should have bought, which is a Scat Pack Core. And that would have been a 10-second car with a stock cam. I guarantee you that. Sovereign's loving the Challenger. Yeah, they're a great looking car. Sovereign and Hard Rock hanging out. Oh, yeah. Catback on a 6.1 sounds good. Kurt saying my 5.7 RT Auto has Pilot Sport 4's 309 limited slip and a Hellcat airbox. That's all I need. I can ride around like I'm still in high school with this car forever. Absolutely, you can. Great car, too. Yeah, 392 is great. You know what's funny is I put a video out a long time ago saying, look, I think the 392 is the best engine Dodge ever made. It's gone into everything, and it's what really gave the masses the opportunity to experience what an actual, like what you would have thought that the second gen 426 would run like. That's how the 392 runs. Yeah, I'm pretty bummed out about the Challenger being gone too, dude. All right, yeah, it's a lot more fun to talk about bikes these days, for sure. Yeah, the brand, yeah, he's talking about the brand being nuts, yeah. Sovereign say the 4700 puts it a bit heavier than the Charger replaces. Yeah, big time. I mean, to get to 4,700 pounds, let me put it to you like this. To get to 4,700 pounds with a Charger, you would have to have an SRT Charger with the heavier brakes and everything else that comes with it, fully loaded out. You know, I just, that's, yeah. And that being said, it's still heavier. It's a much heavier vehicle, no doubt about it. Sorry, saying, can you attach C4 to my Pentastar? I'm sick of it. It might be the best way to get rid of it. Looking up that term just put me on a watch list. That's funny. Sovereign saying, what happened to the Hurricane 6 drag pack? Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Dodge is so not into it. That's the problem. Dodge is not into their own cars. If they're not going to get excited about it, how the hell can I? Can I just say one thing also, guys? Do you know what would have got me back into a brand new Challenger? I don't think I've talked about this. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were going over like what would get you back into a new Challenger. Would you get another Hellcat? And I was like, no, I wouldn't, because the Hellcat to me doesn't represent the best street car. Um, you can't really have fun with it, and don't it's a fun car. It's one of the happiest cars you'll ever drive, but it's not like my F-150. I can go out and run low 13-second hits with my truck at will, right? I said that if this is where Dodge totally, completely just screwed the pooch like you wouldn't believe. If they would have made and just said, look, we're going to keep the body style, but we're doing away with the Hemi. I'm sorry, we can't afford to keep putting the Hemi in it. We're going to put the Hurricane 6 in it, but it's going to be all-wheel drive. Yeah, you've got my attention now. That's the car that I would have bought. And I'm not joking when I tell you that that's the car that I would have bought and would have been doing everything I could to help develop, the either tuning software, piggybacks, or whatever to work with that platform. That's what I would have gone with, not whatever this thing is. And if you go, well, you couldn't make that work with the existing platform or whatever, figure it out. That's what engineers do. You've already got a V6 that's all-wheel drive in the GT. Figure out a way to make that system work with the Hurricane. Problem solved. Done. I don't see where the problem is. And now you would have a 550 horsepower car that would be all-wheel drive, that you just have fun driving the thing around. And okay, so it's not a V8. So what? And I'm not so much of a size queen when it comes to, is it a V8? Is it a V6? Is it an inline six? I'm really not that dude. I like all the different types of power plants. I've been involved in either engine building or racing of some type practically my entire life. And I've had fun with all of them. Even the most mundane stuff I have fun with. So yeah, bring it on. But the thing is that it could have been done differently and it wasn't, and, coulda, shoulda, woulda, whatever, let's see. Oh yeah. 4266. Yeah, that's what the Scatties weigh, 4,200 pounds. The Charger is about 150 pounds heavier. Yeah, Sovereign, that sucks that it was lackluster too, because that was an opportunity for them to really do something cool. 4,200 pounds, when you have that kind of torque, is not a big deal. Obviously. They're big, they're comfy, they look good, they ride good, they're plenty fast. Yeah, and I don't know, Sovereign, they would have to completely redesign the engine bay of that car to make one of the Hemis work. And it does right now, it doesn't work. I mean, it would have to be completely re-engineered. And I think it's a little bit late in the game to start doing that. Hard Rock, if the problem is 392 into a Challenger body, lighter chassis, and all-wheel drive, it might not be a muscle car anymore, but and here, okay, then to that point, muscle car segment's not looking too good right now. You got Camaro that's pulled out. You've got Mustang, if you want to call it a muscle car, which is still kind of hanging in there, but the Mustang sales have tanked. The E-Mustang, I think, is outselling the Mustang right now. A lot of that has to do with the lack of tunability, but the other half of it is the cost of the thing. So, there's a lot of folks that have just gone away from that type of car. But, look, the good thing is that they did make them, though, right? It's not like they only made one or five. They made thousands of these things. So if you want one, you can still get out there and get one. You just can't buy a new one. And that's, that's where we're at. If you can't buy a new one, you can find a used one. And you know, they if they would have only done something different than what they're doing now, they would at least be able to carry some interest into this next model, but they didn't. And it doesn't look good. And it's heavy too. But yeah, not being able to tune is a real problem. Oh, the EV sovereign. That EV is never going to sell. Kurt's asking, are you still against a bottle in the trunk on a Hemi? It's not. I can tell you what happens if you go too hardcore with nitrous on a Hemi. Mainly, it's the transmission more than anything else. That instant torque hit on an HP 70, man, they're not real happy with it. I mean, you can run it, 100 shot or 150 shot, but you are getting really dangerously close to the torque limits of that transmission, which is the one Achilles heel of the Scat Pack based cars is that HP 70. It really, the 392 needs the HP 90. I was saying being a new Charlie would be badass. It would feel badass. Let me scoot down here. I'm about to check out here pretty soon. Motor City said the Ram RHO with a piggyback tune gaps the stock TRX. I'll do you one better. Hey, Motor City, have you seen what the what is it, the Latinum or the Lithium or Platinum, whatever edition? Have you seen what that truck does with no tune at all with the HO Hurricane? Have you seen what that thing will do? That is a mid 12-second truck, dude. Like legit mid 12s. And that's stock. So yeah, it will, I mean, it's legit fast. And if you've never had a chance to drive one, I had the opportunity to drive a short wheelbase Grand Wagoneer with the HO Hurricane 6. And after that video, I did an after the ride video, and I was at a dealership and I got one of the sales guys and I asked him, hey bro, you got one of those, you have a Wagoneer or a truck with that engine? He goes, yeah, we got a Waggy out there. So let's take for a spin. He's like, bet, we get the keys. I took that thing out and it's not fast for a Wagoneer. It's fast for a automobile, dude. Like it absolutely gets it. 6,500 RPM shifts, the whole bit. It's freaking fast. Okay, well, the truck weighs about 1,000 pounds less than that Wagoneer. And that Wagoneer felt like a mid 13-second car. Like it felt like a proper 13-second rig. And so, yeah, I have it on very good report that, I mean, I know for a fact because I've seen the draggy hit mid 12s, okay, which is faster than the TRX. Kurt, thank you very much, my man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. That is Kurt's 5th super chat, my man. Thank you very much. Oh, hang on. What happened? What happened here? Something weird happened. Oh, there we go. But thank you very much, man. I appreciate that, Kurt. Right as we are wrapping it up. Sorry, here's hoping you find a frowny face Challenger. I found a few of them, but man, you know, the problem with doing a frowny is that, and in fact, Smoking Hot and I were talking about this today. You know, because she'd like to get a Disco Camaro or a Nova, and I wouldn't mind doing a frowny Challenger, and I'd be happy with either one. The problem is once you start getting into the classics, oh my gosh, dude, you talk about $300 and $400 you to death. If you're doing all your own work, body mounts, bushings, anything made out of rubber, urethane, anything that has hydraulic fluid in it, power steering, brakes, all of those systems have got to be replaced. It's not like you can just fix them up and send it. It doesn't work like that. These components have got to be replaced. So by the time it's all said and done, And a lot of these cars have been kind of neglected. Like if you find a clean one, you can get away with some stuff. But man, every one that I have found, every one of them had just, it was going to be $4,000 or $5,000 in very unsexy components. We're talking gas tank fuel lines, brake lines, calipers, wheel cylinders, power steering pump. I mean, it just, the list goes on. And master cylinder. Oh my God. It just, radiators. And oh my God, by the time it all was all said and done, I mean, I was like, damn, I'm about to sink a ton of money into this thing just to, it's not going to look any different. It's still going to just be the same car, and it's going to be the same, mid 14-second car unless I do a lot of money into it. So, I wouldn't do a resto mod. I don't, a lot of the cars, the Dodges don't look good with bigger wheels and tires. The wheel and the tire combination is styled specifically to a certain size wheel arch, and trying to go too big with that, it ends up looking the exact opposite of this. In fact, it'll end up looking more like you've got too big of a, that looks pretty good. It looks like you've got too big of a wheel on it at that point. But no, if I did anything, it would be, I would want it retransit. I would prefer to have an automatic overdrive if I could get away with it, or a T56 transmission. That's what I would prefer. And have a very well put together 400 cubic inch stroker small block. And basically build about 11-to-1 with, W2 heads, air gap intake, Holley 750 HP sitting on top of it, roller cam, which wouldn't throw the kitchen sink at it, but it'd be a pretty healthy 110 or 108 degree LSA roller cam, and just build a pretty generic, 480 to 520 horse, 400 cubic inch stroker motor, and call it good. Or I could just fix up the Fox body and call that good too. But with that, guys, oh, hang on a second. But with that, guys, I am going to have to check out. I got to get back to work, clean up what I was working on earlier, and get back to it. So if I missed you, I apologize. But Kurt, thank you very much for the support, brother. I really do appreciate it. And guys, if you made it this far and you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, ring that bell, do all of that stuff. And your new favorite background noise generator can be yours whenever we come on. We do Motor Chat on Saturdays, and we'll do Two Wheel Tuesdays on Tuesdays at about this time. I'm going to try to start going on around 7 o'clock. And I think that seems to be working out better for a lot of folks too. So 7 o'clock Tuesdays and Saturdays, give or take. And with that, guys, I am going to wrap it up. Listen, guys, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. And with that, we're going to check out. Take care.